On this special edition of Tiny Mike, we went out to the Jupiter Civic Center to speak to well-known local meteorologist Steve Weagle about the hurricane season. While the Atlantic hurricane season runs from June 1st to November 30th, being at the end of September, we're in the height of hurricane season for the South Florida area, especially our community. We asked him what's going on in the Atlantic right now, as well as got some good information for our residents about how to make sure they're prepared through the end of this year's hurricane season. Let's go. So Steve, the peak of hurricane season just passed. What's going on in the Atlantic right now?
Well, there are a couple of systems out there. We have, of course, a storm, a hurricane that's in the North Atlantic, and we have two systems that have the potential, actually a high potential of developing the next few days. One would be off the coast of Africa, and then the second one is kind of right behind us. It's this front that is sitting over South Florida that may get a little low-pressure system developing, and it may become something subtropical in the next few days.
Perfect. And, you know, hurricane season runs through November 30th. How important is it to be prepared the entire season and to follow, early warnings from your local meteorologist?
Well, you'll hear all the time, get a plan in place. That's the most important part. And you can do that even before the season starts. And you may need that plan for other things, like for tornado preparation or severe weather preparation. Get a plan in place, know your evacuation zone. You can do that well before the season. And then as the season gets going, get your supplies. The peak of the season is September, but we actually get more hurricane landfalls in South Florida in the month of October than any other month. So it's the peak of the season in the entire Atlantic, but for South Florida, really our peak is October.
And, we kind of want to get a behind-the-scenes look in meteorology. So what makes you bring a storm to the residents' attention?
Well, these days, because of social media, everyone's watching what we're watching. And if there's even a wave that has any kind of potential of developing, even if it's out 8, 10, maybe even 2 weeks out, we will mention it, that it's something that we're watching. But it's really when the storm forms that we start to get those error cones and really keep a close eye on it and maybe do extra coverage on it. But we're watching so many things so far out now because a lot of the information that I use, everyone can get on the internet, and we have a lot of social media posts well in advance. So, yeah, well in advance, I would say, is how we're doing it now.
And with all that buzz out in social media, do you have any advice for residents as they're trying to navigate information during the hurricane season? Yeah,
go to your officials at the National Hurricane Center. We post all the tracks. I'm a degreed meteorologist, so I do day-to-day, I do forecasts for the area. When hurricanes threaten, we all locally use the Hurricane Center and their information because we don't want the information to be conflicting. And, for one area or for one, let's say, media outlet saying, don't worry about this one, and then another saying, oh, this one's going to hit us. We want everything to be consistent. So we all use the Hurricane Center and emergency management and what town officials are telling us to do.
For more information about hurricane preparation as well as your evacuation zone and to see the latest Town of Jupiter hurricane and flood guide, visit jupiter.fl.us/storm and make sure to tune in for the next episode of Tiny Mike Tuesdays.